The Hog's Eye is brought to you by TicketClub.com, your one-stop shop for live events nationwide. Whether you're looking for game, theater, or live performance tickets, don't sweat it. TicketClub.com has you covered. So make sure you're going there for all your live entertainment needs, and make sure you're clicking over to them from the banner at the top of thehogsty.com.
By fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Welcome back to the Hog's Eye. It's the post-game show, and it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you at home. We here at the Hog's Eye are actually the most thankful for you this year, especially on a day like this. So thanks for being with us, and we hope we're having a great holiday. But for this one, it's the Cowboys over Redskins 31-23. A crushing Thanksgiving Day defeat in the primetime lights. Nothing we're not totally used to, I would say. Steve and Alex are here with me. How are you guys doing? How's your Thanksgiving so far?
Well, we were talking about it before. I think all our Thanksgivings kind of sucked, right?
It wasn't the greatest Thanksgiving in the world, but that's okay. I hope everybody out there had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I hope other people had a good Thanksgiving. And here's what I'll tell you, all of our loyal listeners: get those mock drafts ready, because that's where we are right now as Redskins fans. Ooh, I want to see a lot of mock drafts on our blog. I want to see them on Twitter. Tweet at me at Alex35332. I want to see mock drafts. I want to see quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Goddammit! I want to see who we can get. I know we're not getting Hibbert. Can we get the kid from Missouri? Can we get Will Greer? I don't know. I need a mock draft. I need Steve Shoop to tell me who we can get to save this offense.
Yeah, we need to get Steve on a little earlier than normal. I will just tell you, peek behind the curtain for all you guys out there. We were going to record this show later because right now it is right after the game. Right in the middle of Thanksgiving Day. We didn't want to do that because we didn't want to interrupt all of our Thanksgivings, but we thought this show would be a lot better.
We want Band-Aids. Rip it off. Rip that Band-Aid off, Steve. Yeah. And I want a big Band-Aid ripped off. I want hair pulled off.
And the refs just missed another holding call. As we
yeah, another helmet to helmet,
Yeah. Oh, man, we got to talk about that. Maybe we should just jump in with the stats.
Yeah,
let's just hit us with this atrocious number.
Give us the bloody details.
All right, Colt McCoy was 24 of 38, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, quarterback 68.8. Adrian Peterson, 12 for 35, 2.9 yards per carry. Capri Bibbs, 3 for 17, 5.7 yards per carry. Jordan Reed actually had his best game of the year, 6 receptions, 75 yards on 8 targets. Vernon Davis, 2 for 73. Josh Jackson, 6 for 66. Trey Quinn, 5 for 26, 1 touchdown. Capri Bibbs, 3 for 19. That is offense. On the Dallas side, Dak Prescott was 22 for 31, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 121.6. Ezekiel Elliott is still running the ball as we speak. He had 26 carries, 121 yards, and 4.7 yards per attempt, and that only went down under 6 late in the fourth quarter when the game was over. Amari Cooper only had 180 yards, so no big deal, and 8 receptions, 2 touchdowns on a long of 90, of course. Blake Jarwin, who the heck is that? 2 for 25. Noah Brown, 1 for 22. Zeke Elliott, 5 for 22. I could go on, but I don't want to. That is offensive stats. Let's just knock defense out, too, since we just get it over with. Jonathan Allen was the leading tackler, 9 tackles, 5 solo, 1 sack. Preston Smith had 1.5 sacks. Ryan Kerrigan had a half a sack. Deron Payne had a sack. No turnovers on the Redskins side. On the Dallas side, let's just do sacks because there were a lot of them. Jalen Smith a sack, Anthony Brown a sack, DeMarcus Lawrence had a half a sack, Tyrone Crawford had a half a sack. Interceptions, DeMarcus Lawrence and Anthony Brown and Xavier Woods all had interceptions.
Holy jeez, It was open season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Okay. Ouch. What do you guys want to do first? I mean, let's do the obvious thing first. Let's start with Redskins offense. Okay. Let's talk about Colt McCoy specifically. First full game we've seen of him. Couple turnovers, couple good things.
He made terrible decisions all day. He repeatedly threw into coverage. He repeatedly made bad throws into coverage. He threw to receivers who clearly weren't open, and he doesn't have the arm to force it in. And a lot of times those throws, Johnny Unitas couldn't have forced the ball in there. I don't know what he was thinking. There's a reason why he's a backup. all you guys calling for, who've been calling for more Alex Smith, Alex Smith doesn't throw 3 interceptions in a game.
No.
No.
He doesn't throw
You're
2
right,
touchdowns
but-
very often either, but he doesn't throw 3 interceptions.
Exactly correct.
No.
You're exactly
And this is why I started out the show saying we really need a quarterback in the first round. I know we need other things. This team doesn't have a franchise quarterback, and Alex Smith isn't the answer. Colt McCoy isn't the answer. You need a guy who has Colt's
Sanchez
confidence
is not
to
the
make
answer.
some of those. Because we saw throws to Doxson that were incredible plays that Smith doesn't throw because he's afraid. Colt throws them. They're not great, but like that behind-the-shoulder catch Doxson made, Smith would never throw that ball.
Smith isn't afraid. Don't call him afraid.
I think
What
he's
he is
afraid. He's
No,
afraid.
he's
safe.
he is a
He's
safe
safe.
quarterback. You're calling him afraid is, I think, unfair. He just is a very cautious, safe quarterback.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's talk about this a little bit more. So we obviously nobody on this team is going to be the long-term answer. But speaking specifically to which one is better for this offense right now, for the reason that Alex just said, Colt is so much more willing to take certain shots that Alex Smith is just not willing to take. We can see obviously in barely a quarter, over a quarter last week, and then in this game, he's already used Jordan Reed so much better and effectively than Alex Smith ever did for the
Sure,
entire season.
absolutely.
Jordan Reed hadn't scored a touchdown since week 1 until Colt McCoy came in last week.
Well, listen.
I mean,
Colt McCoy isn't good enough to be consistent. That's his problem.
Right.
Okay, Alex
Well, I
Smith is
agree.
going to be far more consistent. And Colt McCoy is going to have games like this where he just isn't good. He's throwing interceptions. He may have, not may, he will have. His highs will be higher, but the problem is his lows are lower. And I mean, Alex Smith is kind of Mr. Steady and Mr. Okay, and sometimes that's good. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, Colt McCoy isn't the answer.
It's a question of do you want to have a heart attack or a flat line, in my opinion. That's kind of what I see between the two. One guy,
that's actually
he's up
pretty
and
well
down, and he'll make a couple good plays, and he'll kill you. And the other guy is basically dead anyway.
I'll take the flat line myself. I mean, I think Smith can have his moments. He's not going to drive the team into the ground. It doesn't matter. He's
team
out
has-
for 8 months, so it doesn't matter. But
they have no fight with Alex Smith. 2 games with Colt McCoy, 2 lead changes. They have no fight back with Alex Smith on this.
Right.
offense.
It's
partially
now
for what Alex is saying. He's more of a gunslinger. You're right. They're going to get picked off sometimes.
Colt
but at least he's
McCoy,
taking the
Colt
shots.
McCoy killed the team today.
well,
in large-
Colt McCoy
he
killed the
did
team.
a
Not having a
lot.
running game killed the team. The defense letting Dak Prescott have his best game of the season killed the team. The team
can't
letting
overcome
Zeke
3
Elliott run all
interceptions.
over the place killed the team. The team killed the team. Everything killed the team.
Colt McCoy played a large part in it.
Yes. So did
And-
all those
and-
other
well,
aspects.
absolutely. I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that, but in all of the offensive struggles we've seen to this point, Alex Smith, too, has played a great role in it. And I think it's just a matter of neither one of them is playing particularly well, but in terms of who's better for the team right now, I think the team has more fight and more of a chance
Well,
with Colt in there.
let's be fair. Right
don't
now,
wanna hang around.
Alex Smith tries to drop back. He falls to the ground because he can't stand.
Well, yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
that is fair. That is accurate.
I mean,
That's
we're
the
stuck
technical
with
truth.
and I like Colt. I mean, Colt's a nice guy. He's had his moments. He knows the offense well. My problem is, I mean, honestly, Colt is a backup for a reason. He's not going to go win a bunch of playoff games. I think people. I mean, the Redskin fans out there are we're overvaluing him. I think he's a great backup, but you stick that guy back there for a whole season or half a season, and it's not going to go well. We're going to have a lot of games like this.
I mean, fans. We're saying fans overvalue him. The team gave him an option for what, $7-8 million next year.
Okay, yeah, he's on a 2-year contract. Okay, and his contract, it's $6.5 million, runs through next year. The deal basically is that if Colt hits certain performance and playing time incentives, he has an option to get out of it. That's what happens. So
Okay.
the idea would being if Colt plays a lot, which he's going to, and he reaches certain milestones, which I don't know what they are,
Right.
he can opt out. The idea would being if he's going to be a starter, he wants to go get starter money. That's the
Sure,
point.
but I mean, I think the price tag for the Redskins, if he stays, is exorbitantly high for a backup, in my opinion.
A problem for another day.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, he's overvalued all around.
Yeah, that could be true. I think you're right. More specifically about this game on offense, we had 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Vernon Davis, Trey Quinn. I don't think Alex Smith makes either of those throws accurately, or maybe even.
He can make the Davis throw.
Throw.
He's tried that throw several times, and he connected one early on, missed two, I think, later. But he's tried that throw a few times. That's a favorite route of theirs. That Vernon Davis kind of doing a wheel route thing. They've done that a bunch.
Yeah.
And people were actually remarking that in our comment section. They were saying they really got to draw something else up because it's great when it works, but man, we've seen that like 3 times now.
Well, I mean, our wide receivers aren't good enough to run these routes that Deshaun Jackson used to route and to run and beat people deep like that.
Mm-hmm.
And even Pierre Garçon, we just don't have the talent.
We don't have anyone who runs that kind of 4.4 sub 4.4 40
No, I mean,
speed.
Maurice Harris is a nice player, and he's developed and all that, and I like him, but that's not him. Josh Doxson, I mean, we've beat our heads against the wall on this show a million times about him. We don't have a guy like that,
right?
That can do that, and so that's part of it. And so, Vernon Davis is probably as close to that guy as we have.
Right. When your tight end's the fastest guy on the team, that might be a problem.
It's something to give you.
At least he's one of the fastest. I don't know.
All right. A 35-year-old tight end might be the fastest guy right now.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Talk to me about Trey Quinn then, if we're talking about speedy guys. So announcers lavishing a lot of praise on Trey Quinn. I don't know if you guys are watching the same feed that I was, but there was a lot of talk about Trey Quinn during this game. But what'd you say it was, Steve? You had 20-some yards or something to finish the game?
Yeah, he had I'm on the wrong side here. Trey Quinn was 5 for 26 with 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
Which was that nice athletic touchdown.
Yeah. And he had that nice punt return at one point, too.
That was our best punt return of the year.
Yeah,
Which
easily.
is pathetic, which is really sad, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I did my analysis of the punt returns. That's not saying a lot, technically speaking.
I was getting really tired of every week doing the game previews, typing in, long 12,
right.
30 second.
Right.
I was getting really tired of seeing it. Look, I mean, Trey Quinn is, he has a lot of energy. He brings a lot. He brings a lot of energy to the field. His skill set is something this team has been lacking since Jamison Crowder seems to have the never-ending injury. Yet they won't put him on IR. He's a little short, shifty slot guy, and that is something that we could use and we haven't had all year long.
To be fair, Crowder has had an injury history as a short, shifty slot guy. Quinn you can argue that too. Now he's missed half the season or more than half the season. He's played 2 games, 3 games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't think, Trey Quinn is going to lead us to the promised land necessarily, but I do think he brings something to this team that we don't have. We've got a bunch of tall, slow, moderately athletic receivers. Josh Doxson's vertical leap accepted. Okay, he's got the vertical. But I do think Trey brings something to the table.
I think
he's the typical guy that the fans are going to overvalue a bit,
right?
Because he's out there and he's new and he's a fun, shiny toy. I mean, again, this guy is not going to lead us to 5 wins.
But I think you need guys like Quinn and Crowder on any roster. Every team needs a shifty, 1 or 2 shifty slot guys like that.
Trey Quinn could be Cole Beasley's younger brother,
right?
No, that's what I was going to say. Best case scenario is he ends up being our Cole Beasley type.
Well, I mean, Crowder, that was what we said about him until he started getting hurt all the time.
Yeah, I'm kind of the clock's ticking on Crowder for me and my patience, man. There's a lot of people on that list with the injury.
Yeah, I know.
That don't seem to ever go away, man. I'm getting tired of it.
The Redskins take a lot of chances in drafts on guys with injury histories.
Yeah.
Jordan Reed had a big injury history, which is why he was available when we drafted him. James Crowder, I don't know if I can't remember his injury history off the top of my head, but Chris Thompson had an injury history in college, and he still has it.
Go back to Robert Griffin. He had a huge red flag when it came to a leg injury. And guess what happened?
Yeah, and he tore it up again. Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, and this is one of those things we've argued about with other fans over the years. Why don't the Redskins value this injury history stuff a little bit more when we see what the results are?
I mean, go all the way back to Malcolm Kelly.
Yeah.
We drafted Malcolm Kelly, and he was a huge red flag. He got redlined out of half the team's draft boards. Some of the team's draft boards because of his injury history. I don't know what it is. I mean, they take a lot of chances like that, and it's come back to bite them several times.
It really has.
Yeah.
I've
got 2.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to switch gears, so go ahead.
Well, I got 2 questions to ask you.
Yeah.
Well, not 2 questions, but 2 plays I'd like to call attention to. Is it too early to call conspiracy on refs and the Redskins? Because there's 2 major missed penalties in this game. One is obviously against Jordan Reed there.
The helmet, sure.
Everyone's helmet-to-helmet hit. That was an obvious miss by the refs. I mean, in a year that you're concerned about safety and you missed that, that's inexcusable. But there was also, at the beginning of the game, a major missed face mask penalty on Colt, if you remember that.
Right.
Call.
Yeah.
Sure.
So what's going on with these two missed penalties against our offense? It seems like we're having a lot of that. These are pretty egregious, obvious infractions to be missing.
Well, and I'll also add in the holding call against Morgan Moses. That was not a holding call. I believe that called back a positive play. So that was
that was an incomplete pass that they turned down. Yeah,
you're right. But that was the most non-holding call ever. I don't think there's any kind of conspiracy. I think that's dumb. That just isn't happening. What we're getting is we're just getting a run of bad luck with a bunch of bad refs. I think it's as simple as I don't think Roger Goodell is rubbing his hands together and passing out $100 bills.
Jerry paid the refs off.
No, I do think Roger Goodell is rubbing his hands together for devious reasons, but maybe not that.
Yeah, not for that reason.
He might be like murdering orphans or something. I don't know what he's doing. He seems like he might be like just doing horrible psychopathic things. But
for the NFL lawyers, that was a joke. We're not being serious. I don't think there's any conspiracy, and you guys out there need to stop. The refs aren't conspiring to favor Dallas.
The refs just suck. That's all.
The refs suck, and the refs suck dramatically in Dallas's favor today.
Yes,
and the same thing last week against the Texans. The refs just sucked. I don't think in any way there's any kind of conspiracy. Nobody's paying them. No, the NFL doesn't want Dallas to win. If the NFL wanted Dallas to win, they wouldn't have been mediocre to bad for the last 20 years. Okay,
that's true.
That's a fair point. That's probably the best argument you could have made right there.
But the Jordan Reed penalty, that was that might be the most. I mean, I was about to be hyperbolic. It was and say it was the worst ever, but it was a horrendous miss. How on earth do the refs miss a direct helmet-to-helmet blow against a defenseless receiver in the act of catching the ball?
I was half expecting the refs then to call a penalty on Reed for throwing his helmet as he was making his way to the sidelines. Just to,
me too.
Because that would be very.
It would be very Redskins.
It would very Redskins, yes.
It'd be the most Redskins things ever. It
right.
Really would.
So before we switch to defense, I have one thing I want to ask you guys: is Adrian Peterson done?
No, no. This actually leads me to my next point. The offensive line was terrible today. Horrible. They didn't.
No, there's no surprise there. Right?
They had Colt on the run for a good chunk of the game. They were bad in pass blocking. Ty Nsekhe on his one play at left tackle got absolutely blown up on the Quinn touchdown.
Yeah, he did.
Just terrible. Adrian had absolutely nowhere to run at all today. Not on the edge, not in the A gap, not anywhere. Sure. Even a guy as good as Adrian Peterson isn't going to do particularly well when he has absolutely no running lanes at all.
I'm just saying it's been like a month since he's had a really good game, it feels like.
It's been a month since we've had an offensive line with no injuries.
That's true, too.
It's not you can tell he creates a lot on his own because he's so good. He had those jump cuts last week against the Texans when he would bounce it outside when there's nothing, in the interior gaps. He did that a couple times today, but they were beating him to the edge because, the offensive line wasn't seeing the edge and the linebackers would get him on the sideline.
Sure.
That happened over and over again. The one positive run that Capri Bibbs had today, it was because they finally produced a running lane.
Right.
Outside the left tackle, they
nice.
produced a running lane, and magically he did well. I put a lot of it, most of it. You can tell that Peterson is trying. He's got his moves, but the offensive line just isn't getting it done, period.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised to see his production was as low as it is today because visually it looked a lot more impressive than I guess it ended up being statistically. I agree with you, Steve. When you watch him run, it looks like he's doing a lot, and if we can just support him a little bit better, we'll have games that we know he can have again.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know. I just take a step back with Peterson, with the state of the team the way it is. I just take a step back and look like you're going to have games like this. Like maybe 1 out of 3 is going to be like this at this point with this many injuries. It doesn't really concern me too much about him.
Well, the other thing is Dallas is a very good run defense.
Yes, that's true. This is not the game to look at. It's just been the last month where production's been lower.
Yeah, I think you put that on the offensive line. It's been that long since
Fair enough.
The offensive line has been healthy.
He was looking like Moses at one point today when they went for it on 4th down and kind of ran over everybody. Did you know?
Yeah. He literally jumped over 3 guys. Yeah.
It's a shame you didn't put a cleat into the chest of a Dallas Cowboy.
I'm pretty sure he did, but that's fine.
One of the
That's the
keys
Antonio
to the
Brown
offense,
one.
what I was trying to say in the beginning was offensive line, I think, played a major factor.
Yes,
in
it
the loss
did.
Today. They just looked terrible. I mean, Trent didn't look particularly good, I didn't think, and Secchi was bad on that play. Interior, they let a ton of pressure. Dallas blitzed them relentlessly. Relentlessly.
Yeah, they did.
But they just did a bad job, and I think all phases, and it was they get enough today from me.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Let's switch from there then to defense, unless you have any lingering thoughts on offense. I'm sure they're going to keep coming up as we go through.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm not done, but we'll switch.
Okay. Let's talk about defense then. So, I mean...
Ezekiel Elliott's
Amari
still
Cooper,
running.
Ezekiel Elliott. But that's not as surprising to me as 180 yards on 8 receptions from Amari Cooper. That's the one that's really going to get me in terms of our defense failing here. But
the secondary,
where do you guys
secondary was just burnt toast today. They looked horrible.
Dunbar.
If anything looked worse in the offensive line, it was the secondary. Dunbar looked awful.
Amen.
It's clearly Dunbar shouldn't have been playing.
Yeah, he's still not healthy. You can tell, when he was trying to cut with guys, he was not able to cut.
Yeah, and he couldn't run. He shouldn't have been out there. I give him, props for trying, I guess. But I would have rather seen Greg Stroman out there at that point.
Right.
When the guy clearly shouldn't play. But they let these receivers consistently beat him. They were consistently wide open.
Clinton Dix was out of position quite a lot, it looked like, on a lot of those big plays.
Well, a lot of Green Bay fans were happy to see him go for that very reason.
Yeah.
The defensive line had its moments. The defensive line, one of the things we said in the preview was the way to beat him was to stop Elliott, which we didn't do at all, but also keep Dak Prescott in the pocket.
Yeah.
Which, aside from, one run,
Oh, God, that was ugly, though.
Yeah.
Well, and by the way, I mean, if you didn't know that busted play was going to be a touchdown, you haven't been paying attention to the Redskins.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Put some meat on those bones. What do you mean?
The busted play by, in the red zone by the scrambling athletic quarterback when the Redskins really needed to stop. If you didn't know that wasn't going to end up in the Redskins tend to put highlight reel plays on the board in tough situations, and you just knew. But my point is, generally speaking, they turned Dak Prescott into a pocket passer and dared him to beat him with his arm. And what he did is he picked the Redskins apart. Now, a huge part of it was that their wide receivers were running free all day. But they got some decent pressure on him. They sacked him, 4 times?
Something like that. They got 4 sacks, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were terrible in the run game, but they did get a decent amount of pressure on in the pass game, but Dak picked them apart.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely picked them apart. And, I put a huge part of that on the secondary.
Yeah.
Yeah, 121 quarterback rating. I forget what it was.
122.6.
Was that what it was in the first?
No, I had
it in the first game we played against them.
Oh, I don't have that right in front of me.
We contained him. I mean, that's what I'm getting at, is we contained him last time. We had with no luck at all this time, and unlike on offense, I don't really see the reason for the drop-off in our defense's ability to stop these guys, because there hasn't been a huge roster shakeup.
I mean,
there hasn't been a lot of injuries.
He was good all day. I mean, in the first quarter, he was 8 for 10. At halftime, he was 16 for 21. In the third quarter, he was, I caught the third quarter a little bit after the third quarter started. So about 2 minutes into the fourth quarter, he was 21 for 29. I mean, look,
how does this happen, though?
The secondary blew it. Dunbar was out there on one leg.
The secondary has not been the same since Dunbar got hurt.
Monte Nicholson missed tackles.
Yeah.
DJ Swearinger didn't have an impactful game. Like you said, was out of place sometimes. The secondary failed.
That might have been the most. And I don't want to say Swearinger had a bad game but they kept him out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. I'm looking over the stats from the previous matchup against Dallas, and Dak Prescott himself. What's that?
Lay it on us.
Well, I'm just looking at the numbers, and Dak Prescott, 273 yards, 1 touchdown. He didn't really have that vastly different of a day last time as this week. Obviously, the big difference would be Ezekiel Elliott. Something major happened there.
Yeah.
33 yards the last time to this one, over 100. So something clearly happened there, which I can't quite pinpoint. But also, look at their receiving numbers from the last matchup. 81 yards for Gallup, 74 for Hearn. They were productive last time, too. I think we just kept points off the board is really what happened.
Now, one thing that they mentioned on the broadcast that I didn't realize, and maybe I just missed it, Matt Ioannidis was hurt and was out with a bruise of some kind and didn't really play much this game.
something must have been up because I felt like I didn't see him, and I definitely was he was very noticeable last time.
Well, and Tim Settle played a good chunk of the game.
Yeah, and he had 2 pretty big tackles at one point.
I mean, Ioannidis was up. He was not inactive, but yeah, he didn't play much. So we'll have to we'll have to watch Jay's comments. We'll get him later tonight and see what he says.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that you can say about this game, good thing we have like 10 days to kind of recover now.
There's a lot we can say about this game.
Yeah.
That's not nearly the only
I'm saying one positive. Yeah.
No, you know what the positive was is Quinn and Danny Johnson both look good in kickoff and punt returns.
They did.
That's a positive.
And I mean, I'm not a fan of Danny Johnson. I've been saying we need to kind of replace him for a while, but this was probably his best. That was his best return for sure.
Not probably. It was definitely the previous long for the Redskins this season was 27 yards.
Yeah, and he got to the 45 or something like that.
It was 41.
Oh,
basically, those are the only 2+ return kickoff or punt returns we've had the entire season.
Right.
Was those 2 plays, which is pathetic. Wow. Our return game has been absolutely atrocious before today.
And,
so
as I've said, a lot of it has to do with our blocking and lack of blocking for the returns.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, they just haven't been good.
Yeah.
They just haven't been good. I mean, other things about the Dallas offense. I mean, I really think. I mean, on what we said held true. If Dallas gets a running game going, it's generally over.
Yep.
And that's what happened. They ran for more than 100 yards. I got cursed out by somebody on Twitter for this, and I hope you unfollowed us and blocked us because I was right and you were wrong. But 146 yards on the ground. If they do that, this Dallas Cowboy team is really hard to beat. This year, the 2018 Dallas Cowboys, and that's exactly what they did to us. I mean,
it just seems like Matt Ioannidis not playing the full game isn't enough.
Oh no, that alone doesn't explain it. No, we're not saying. I don't think anyone would say that.
I mean, what's really
it's
sad
such
about
a vastly different drop off.
I mean, what's really sad about this game is the Redskins took a lead for the first time in the year, right? And that happened. That happened with.
Well, no, the second time in a year. They did it versus Houston too. They came back and got a lead and they lost it.
You're right. Sorry, you're right. Second time, but they took a lead with a minute 20. Yeah. They took a lead with a minute 29 to go, or in the third quarter, and after that, Dallas scored 3 unanswered touchdowns in a row.
Right.
That's just it's just crushing. Right after that, I think it really took a lot of momentum and a lot of wind out of the sails when right after the big touchdown. What did they do? The defense let Dallas march straight down the field. Zeke Elliott had multiple big runs.
Yeah.
Then they got, what was it, a 40-yard, touchdown pass. I mean, that was the back-breaking moment. And then you have the interception, on the very next series.
Right.
I mean, you can't do that stuff and be a good team and win the game.
No, I mean, how many times have you heard a coach say, if you turn the ball over 3 times, you're not going to win the game? And that's exactly what we did.
The Redskins were plus 12 this year before going in. Now we're, we're less than that.
Right.
But I think that's a huge reason why the Redskins were 6-3. They weren't turning the ball over, and the defense was creating turnovers, or at least being opportunistic and taking what was in front of them.
Agreed.
They didn't do that today, and we had the 3 interceptions, and it's no surprise, that the game went negatively. And for those of you who didn't see this game, 31-23 does not adequately describe the beatdown that the Redskins really took. It was not this close. It
was close up until midway through the third. That's when Dallas separated.
That's right.
The first half, it was very tight.
The second half was just awful. I
Yeah.
mean, the second half, the Redskins really laid down and died.
Yeah, especially the defense kind of rolled over the more you think about it,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a return to the Jay Gruden Redskins second half form.
And can we say, by the way, I knew I was going to have something else on offense. Jay Gruden had the worst game of the year play calling wise, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He was just terrible in play
What happened
calling.
at the end?
Well, it wasn't even so much at the end. At the beginning, he's had. We said this offense needed to go short, quick strikes. It needed to have Peterson get going, running the ball. What did we have? We had Colt on multiple 7-step drops over and over and over again. The run-pass balance was way out of whack. I think Peterson had like one carry in the first two drives. I think maybe it was two.
No, he had 2 carries, and both went for -2 yards or something like that.
Yeah, but you can't have Colt McCoy on 7-step drops.
No.
That's not how he plays. It's not how he wins. I think
we don't have the receivers who get open in 7 steps. That's the other problem.
No, we don't, and that's the point of having long drops, like that, is to give the receivers time to go downfield and all that stuff. I think we've heard that Jay really loves Colt McCoy. We've heard he really likes Colt.
Right.
And it seems to me that Jay just went overboard and thought, oh, my God, Colt's playing. And so he completely changed the way the Redskins have won games this year.
If he really liked Colt would have seen more playing time in the last 2 years rather than the 0 games.
Well, Jay didn't sign Alex Smith, and they gave Alex a ton of guaranteed money and locked him in for 2 years at least, probably 3.
The Alex Smith issue was forced on him. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We don't know if Jay liked Alex or not.
Well, I mean, verbally, he's always said he liked Alex. He's always said he liked Kirk. I mean, Robert Griffin's the only one he ever said I don't really like as my quarterback. But
might as well, yeah.
Well, yeah, and that was and Jay definitely said the wrong things back in those days. But that was also his first year as a coach.
Right.
He's learned since then. I don't think if that happened today.
No. I think he learned from there. But at the same time, he wasn't wrong.
No, he wasn't wrong. He just shouldn't have bashed his own players.
Right.
In public, But my point is, I think Jay had a really bad day calling plays. I think the game plan was poor up front.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like having Colt have so many deep balls. I mean, the Redskins needed to win by short, quick strikes. West Coast dink and dunk the ball today, and they didn't do that.
Yeah,
I think that was because Jay had so much confidence and likes Colt so much, but he didn't adapt.
He's got to realize Colt can't throw these 20-yard balls. I mean, look at that second interception. Was it the third? But that Harris interception. Yeah. I mean, that Colt McCoy thing was wobbling everywhere. That was the ugliest spiral I've seen in a while.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Well, particularly on a day when you knew the offensive line wasn't having a good game.
Right. But you're throwing that with no pressure, indoors, no one hit you, and that's what your ball looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Well, we want to go ahead and do game balls then?
I guess. I'll go because I know at least one of mine, and the one I'm going to give for sure is going to be Trey Quinn.
I thought it was going to be Davis.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with Quinn. He got a touchdown catch. He had that nice punt return. I love a good slot receiver, so I'm going to go with Quinn on. I guess that's offense. Although I don't know what punt returns count as. Is that offense or defense?
It's offensive yards.
Sure,
it's offense.
Right?
You count that as, if you can't go special teams, you got to count it as offense.
All right, fair enough. On defense, I mean, no one had a great game. I guess I'll go with Jonathan Allen. He had a sack and a couple good plays there. So,
yeah, tackle leader. That's a fair choice.
All right.
You want to go, Steve?
Sure, I'll go. I guess. Gosh, this is tough. I mean, I think your candidates, realistically, to me, I mean, I like the Trey Quinn thing, but ultimately didn't produce enough offensive yards.
Sure, understandable. But
I'll give Capri Bibbs an honorable mention.
Oh wow,
honorable mention. He doesn't get it though.
Well, he only had 3 carries.
Yeah.
3 carries and 3 receptions. I thought he looked good when he had the ball in his hands, but he wasn't a big enough part. So I'm going to go with Jordan Reed. 6 receptions, 75 yards. He was. He and Josh Doxson were the focal points of the offense. I think Josh gets an honorable mention, but Jordan was the guy today in terms of production. So I'll go with that. And on defense, none of these bums deserve a game ball. First of all,
sure.
I mean, I was tempted to give Amari Cooper, a defensive game ball, but I won't do that because I got scolded by Alex last time for even mentioning that.
You can't give a game ball to a cowboy. It's not right.
Yeah, you do that all the time, Steve.
I've done it once.
No, every time we've lost, you've decided not to give a game ball to somebody.
Well, because I mean,
or giving it to the other team.
Doesn't Amari Cooper deserve a game ball?
Not from us.
If I have to, I'm going to give one. I'm going to go with Preston Smith because he had a better game today than he has in the past, and he got a sack and a half. So that's good. I reluctantly give a deflated ball game ball to Preston Smith with an honorable mention to Amari Cooper.
Fair
that's
enough.
super disappointing because I was also going to give a deflated game ball to Preston
You
Smith.
can do that. It's fine.
Well, I'll start on offense. Offensively, I'm going to go Vernon Davis. I like both of the guys you mentioned, Reed and Quinn. Obviously, there's a lot to like there. Vernon Davis with the nice long touchdown. We've barely seen that this season. It's great to see. Two receptions for the 73 yards, so almost as much as Reed there, plus the touchdown. So I'm going to go with him defensively.
Vernon Davis. All right.
Are you tracking this, Alex?
Yeah, of course. I'm still tracking it. It's on our
We need to make
website.
we need to make a bigger deal of that. I don't think people know that that's on there.
Make sure you mark it. Steve's is deflated, and I'm going to actually make mine. They're scuffed burgundy stars. You're right. Nobody earned a game ball, so they're getting scuffed burgundy stars. For defense, I guess I'm just going to stick with Preston Smith for the reasons that you said, Steve. Also, I'm seeing 4 QB hits, which is obviously he's active and getting pressure there. Plus, didn't you say he was the beneficiary of that holding call that wasn't actually holding, or what was it?
No. I was talking about
somebody
the
else?
holding call I was talking about was on Morgan Moses.
Yeah, that was on the other
Oh,
side.
Moses?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll still stick with Smith. He, good stats, almost the tackle leader, plus the QB pressures, plus he had the 1.5 sacks. So it seems fair to me. So there we go. Game balls. We did it, guys. Good job to us. This is a tough one to do. Game balls.
You got to let us wrap up though, because I've got thoughts.
Oh well, please share your thoughts with the community here.
Okay, the Redskins have today in particular have made their entire season a lot more difficult. We started last Saturday, okay, before the Texans game in clear control of the NFC East, and by losing the last 2 in a row to the Texans and the Cowboys, particularly the Cowboys today, what they've done is they put themselves in the middle of the muck for the NFC East.
Right.
They could have walked out of today 2 games up over Dallas, 2 games up over the Eagles. Instead, they're tied by record, and I think by tiebreaker, Dallas would probably be up.
Right now we're in the 6th wild card spot, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, and now losing 2 games to the Eagles puts the nail in the coffin for us.
Yep.
Whereas they could have lost 2 games to the Eagles and still been okay if they had won even one of these games. Losing this game against Dallas, I think, is a dramatic turning point in the season. It has turned what it has done. I think it has turned a very positive season into the possibility of another Redskins season, another mediocre Redskins season. I don't think you can underestimate this loss, particularly this loss on national television on Thanksgiving Day on the road. Again, with the whole world watching, and they laid an absolute egg in a game that was not as close as the score indicates. I don't think you can underestimate the effect that this game is going to have on the season.
Yeah, we called this a must-win last week in our preview,
Yep.
and it was a must-win for both teams. And I think the announcer said it. With this, Jason Garrett slides off the hot seat, and I think Jay Gruden slides maybe a little bit closer to it. I'm not willing to say he's on it, but this is the kind of win, like you said, it totally eliminated any cushion we had.
Did you say
Jason? Totally eliminated.
Did you say Jason Carrot?
Carrot? I am eating carrots.
I mean, he
so
is
that
an
would make
orange-haired,
sense. The carrot
Yeah.
top kind of guy. Yeah, exactly.
Jason Carrot. I like it. We're sticking with it.
We'll rock with that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just this was one that both teams desperately needed it. We really needed it, like you said, Steve. And dramatic turning point, maybe. We better show a lot more fight.
It was just really a crushing loss.
It was.
It really was. I mean, forget it. Forget about the way we lost made it even more crushing. But just taking the L today. I think it really turned the season around and not for good. I mean, I hate to be negative, but and I don't think this is just because we're recording this right after the game, because we've said this last week when we did the preview, or a few days ago.
Yeah.
So it's just we'll see what happens. But they've got, what do we have? The Eagles next week.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a must-win.
Doot doot.
I'm
calling it right now.
Yeah.
Well, we got, like Alex said, we got time to rest now.
Yeah.
So we just got to do that.
Oh,
and come back focused.
injuries.
Did you get an update?
Well, I'm going to look right now, but what we saw in the game, Casanova McKenzie went out early.
Yeah.
He didn't come back as far as I saw.
Pearson went out, came back, then went out again.
Yeah. Trenton Williams went down and came back. And by the way, Trent was utterly not healthy today.
Oh,
Let's
no.
just say that.
No.
He was
yeah.
not himself at all.
He's like clutching his hand. You can tell he's playing unathletically.
We talked about Dunbar. He still doesn't look healthy, even though he didn't really
looked
go
terrible.
out and come back.
Yeah, Dunbar shouldn't have been playing, in my opinion.
No.
And then Jonathan Allen went out early.
Yeah.
Or late.
Towards the last drive or something.
Yeah. We don't have any new information as we record this, but we'll keep an eye on it throughout the week.
Whew. That'll be fun.
Have fun, kids.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it at that. Crushing defeat. But
well, at least we can get our Christmas shopping done now, not worrying about the playoffs.
Oh, by the way, the Eagles' game next week is on Monday Night Football. I'm just saying that because we all know how the Redskins do on Monday Night Football.
Right.
It's these 2 weeks, this 10 days will make or break the season.
Yeah.
Whew, what a thought to end on. It certainly leaves people to think about something through the holidays here, Steve.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a happy holidays.
Yeah. We'll be back with you guys for the next preview episode. Keep checking back at thehogsty.com for more written content. We will see you next time right here. Take care.
I need another beer.